Hi, Bill and Alisa Winslow here with the Winslow Group at Coldwell Banker Schmidt Realtors in Northern Michigan. Today, we're going to talk about several items from our buyer power checklist. This was definitely useful over the last 2 years after COVID. However, we're still in a market here where we're seeing a lot of competitive offers, and buyers, if you want to get that property, it needs to be structured in a very competitive way to get that. So Alisa, our list, I think, consists of 14 different items, but today we're just going to talk about several of those. What is the first one?
Well, we're going to talk about our first two have to do with seller uncertainty. So if you put yourself in the shoes of a seller, one of the things that they're worried about is knowing whether or not the home is going to inspect well, knowing whether or not it's going to appraise well, and actually get to close. Human beings in general do not like uncertainty. So many of the elements of the buying power checklist have to do with eliminating as much of that as possible. If you're a seller and you're comparing multiple offers, there's a lot of different levers that you can pull or that your buyers can pull, and it can be very challenging to compare apples to apples. One of those is the inspection. So you'll hear a lot, and in the buyer power checklist, you can read a lot about whether or not you should think about waiving the inspection or only making the inspections around waivers. But one of the things anyone can do, regardless of your comfort level with the inspection process, is make sure that that inspection timeline is a quick turnaround. A lot of agents will default to like 10 to 14 business days. And when you add that up, that could be weeks before you actually get through the inspection. If you have a great relationship as a realtor like we do with inspectors, and you can get them to commit to even 5 or 7 calendar days for an inspection, that's going to give a lot of encouragement to that seller.
And we definitely have some other tips around that. So you can check that out on our website, winslowproperties.com, under our blog. But another item from our buyer power checklist has to do with occupancy. So second to price, sometimes even beyond price, occupancy is the most important or second most important item to a seller.
What is occupancy if you're a new buyer? What does that mean?
That's a great question. So occupancy means when the buyer can actually move into the home, when the seller actually has to vacate the property and have all their stuff moved out. So occupancy for some people, if the house is vacant, then it's going to be at closing. But if a family is moving or is living there and they've got to move all of the kids' stuff out and all of that, or maybe it's an older couple that has a whole bunch of stuff there, they want some time to assure that they can move all their items out of the house. And so if you are a good buyer's agent or you have a good buyer's agent, they're going to find that out before they even write the offer. What is the ideal situation? And then furthermore, a couple other things you could do. You could have delayed occupancy. So here in Northern Michigan, 30 days is fairly common, but we're seeing situations where it could even be 45, 60, 90 days. We did a deal with 6 months occupancy. So it could be all over the place, but it's very important to find out what is the motivation of the seller, what is going to relieve the stress from the seller.
Yeah, it's very difficult to compete, and it's difficult to compete with cash deals as well. And this third tactic that we use, and I don't know if I call it a tactic, it's more of a tool that we use, would be around an appraisal guarantee. So in this market, still anywhere from 40 to 50+% of transactions that close are transactions that were funded by cash. So if you're borrowing to buy your home, it can be very challenging to compete against cash. And that goes back to that certainty thing that we talked about. One way to give your seller a little bit of encouragement around your commitment to the deal and getting it to the closing table would be to go ahead and offer what's called an appraisal guarantee. Or you can ask your lender if they're able to waive the appraisal. What that basically means is if your home appraises for less than the asking price up to a certain amount, whatever you're comfortable with and have the cash to support, you would say, okay, we don't care. We'll make up the difference and make sure we still get to the closing table.
Excellent. So as I said, if you want some more ideas, feel free to reach out to us anytime, or check out our website, winslowproperties.com. And if you want more content like this, click the link and subscribe below.